Welcome back to Tasmanian Wanderlust, and today we are exploring the mountain biking capital of Tasmania, Derby. We began our journey very early in the morning, up with the sunrise, and it was a long trip, but I think it's well worth it if you want to just do a day trip rather than staying overnight. Just get up early if you're staying somewhere around Devonport, around 6 to 6:30. If you leave about then, you can usually get there by 9 o'clock. There's a bit of a mountain pass getting into Derby, so make sure that you drive to the conditions depending on the weather. We went in summer, so it was pretty dry and pretty reasonable, but of course if you're traveling in winter, it can become a very treacherous road. And of course, at the end of a long day of mountain biking, you might not want to do the drive back, so that's why a lot of people do tend to stay overnight. Once we got into town, we headed to a big car park that's on the far side of town, on the eastern side, and it's a great spot because it has facilities for, recharging electric vehicles or just parking for the day, toilet facilities, that sort of thing, showers, and also like refills for your water bottles, and also somewhere to clean off your bike at the end of the day so that you don't have to take it home dirty. It's also right next door to a pump track, so if you wanted to brush up on your skills or if you have some kids with you, the whole place is very family friendly, and there's a lot of families that come here to do biking at all different skill levels. For such a small and remote town, the whole thing has been set up absolutely brilliantly, and they have put in so much to this sport and to encourage people to come here. Everything has been incredibly well mapped out and also graded so that people can tell what is good for them, what is good for their skill level, where they want to go, and what sort of challenges they might want to take on. Some of it is family friendly and some of it is obviously for the very serious athletes out there. Speaking of which, here are some snippets of what the guys got up to on their day. As for my day, I stuck to the walking paths, of which there are still quite a few. This bridge crosses over the Ringarooma River, which is a bit of a barrier between the town and what used to be the old tin mine. The river is a nice little fishing spot, especially for things like trout, which tend to be quite common around Tasmania. This particular spot is the meeting of two rivers, which is the Ringarooma and the Cascade, so they converge at the east end of the town of Derby. The trails on this side of the river are for a mixture of mountain biking or just regular biking and also foot traffic, so you can walk here or you can bike here, and you can have a look around the edge of the river, or you can also travel down to what is a small lake, which is a really popular spot for swimming. back in the town of Derby itself, I went for a bit of a walk and had a look at what the buildings were like in the town. There's very much a typical old mining town vibe to it, even though it's absolutely crammed with bike shops, which is kind of surprising considering how small it is. But since the mine shut down, this is now the main industry. So I counted about 3 or 4 different biking shops along the place, and so much of it was set up for tourism, and so much of it was set up for helping people to get up to the trails as well. And so there were a lot of restaurants as well, which also catered for the visitors, and I decided to have a quick stop at one of the cafes. I stopped for morning tea at a place called 2 Doors Down, and they have plenty of seating inside and outside, so whatever takes your fancy. But they also have a memorial to one of the founders of mountain biking in the town. The staff were incredibly friendly and helpful, and they made an absolutely delicious chai latte, not to mention a great lemon tart, which was exactly the fuel that I needed to continue my walking tour of town. I wanted to have a look at what sort of accommodations they had around the place, and there is a huge variety of many different styles out there. There's traditional Australian type pubs, which you can probably get accommodation at, but also Airbnbs of various different varieties, a big caravan park, and lots of private accommodation. There's also a medical centre for when you come off your bike. There's plenty of town amenities for anyone who is travelling through, and so you never need to worry about where to find the bathrooms or where to find water refills. But if you're looking for a decent lunch venue, then Lot 40 was actually pretty good. Again, they have plenty of options for outdoor or indoor dining, whatever takes your fancy and whatever the weather is doing. They also have a great selection of food, so you can refuel on all of the energy that you expend on the trails. And you can also get a nice drink there. The final destination on my list is, of course, the museum. Who wouldn't want to know more about the history of this town? As I mentioned before, Derby is an old mining town, so it's only about 150 years old, and that's because they happened to find tin in the hills surrounding it. They also accidentally found a whole bunch of gemstones at the same time, but because they were so preoccupied with mining tin, they basically just discarded them along the way. And so this place is actually a brilliant spot for fossicking. You can pick up all sorts of gems here from the river, and this is Wayne, the caretaker of the museum, holding a giant piece of quartz. There's also lots of interesting artifacts that have been preserved from the town, and so you can see various different things like the original school desks and some of the original homework that was actually done by students here. Education has obviously changed a great deal over the last 150 years, and so has the town of Derby. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.